Hey guys, welcome to another video on the Inside Spurs channel. Happy Wednesday afternoon. Hope you're still enjoying your day and you're having a good one, whatever it is that you're up to. Just enjoy it. Yeah, got a really good video actually, and some of you called me up on my last one about, so-and-so and so-and-so. So yes, we do have the update around Spurs and they're interested, excuse me, the interest in Nusa, Antonio Nusa, the Norwegian starlet. We do also have the update around Sergio Reguilón and his move to Brentford, Alfie Devine and his club that he's already joined, as well as some quite interesting reports around Højbjerg and his interest in him and how Spurs may not move him. So plenty to talk about, plenty to get into. Just want to say, if you're new, subscribe. You're very much welcome to join us for the journey. And let's jump in with the Antonio Nusa news. It came from Lyle Thomas at Sky Sports News, and he said that Spurs are continuing to monitor the progress of Norwegian starter Antonio Nusa. Now, he was one that kind of similar to Bakayoko. My feelings towards those guys, I'm like, they're super exciting players. I think they're going to be absolute studs. And Bakayoko is still my number one option with all the wingers. You know, I know some of you, you like a Jota, and there's nothing wrong with any of your opinions in terms of if you like a Jota, if you liked an Illing Jr., if you like Timo Werner. I'm just saying Bakayoko for me, skip Werner aside, because he's already here. Bakayoko, of the names that we link to, is head and shoulders above the rest. Nusa is the one that I think has the highest upside though. A player that can go really, really far with his potential. So the fact we're still monitoring it is really, really good news. I mean, you're looking at a deal probably, I'd say somewhere between 20 to 30 million in that realm, add-ons or instalments, things like that I think would play a key part to it. With him, it might even be one of those, you sign him, do you loan him back out? We had that with Destiny Adogi. It worked magical wonders with him. Could Nusa be the same situation? Potentially. I think, people talking about, Santiago Jimenez, you buy him, you loan him back. And I said, look, if you're spending 40, 50 million on a guy just to loan him back, Daniel Levy's not going to do that. He's not. He's going to be in the first team squads, And with Antonio Nusa, if it was like 20 odd million, if let's say you said to them, I don't want 30 million, but we're going to give you 22 and a half, and we're going to loan him back for a season, they'd probably take it because they can just forget about him for that position for the year. And I can see them doing that. I could see them doing that. Again, a lot of this depends on how Richarlison, Sonny does, how Valise progresses, how Scarlett does. Do we keep Timo Werner, Solomon, the Perisic obviously leaving, Brian Hill, Kulisevsky. It plays a huge part of how those guys all do. But I'm just glad that we're still sniffing around there. You know what I mean? Yeah, really quickly on Reguilón. He has just completed his medical. He has completed his medical to sign as a new Brentford player. There is no option to buy on the deal for Sergio Reguilón. I'm not sure they're paying all of his wages, but I think they're paying a big chunk of his wages. So it's not the end of the world, really. And like I said, I think he was looking at 6 months or the second half of the season, playing well, putting himself in the shop window for the big move in the summer. Which, hey, if you play well and you come into the summer and the big move's 15 million instead of 10 million, it's been worth the time. And I think he will play well enough to get himself a good move, a permanent good move in the summer. And again, that's something you can add to the list of, Reguilón. You can then add that list to the Rodon, Spence, Tanganga, Ndombele, the guys that are on loan. And there's more. It's not just saying those 5 guys. You could easily move on from other players, but those guys could, in essence, get you 10 to 15 million each nearly. So that's quite a big chunk of it. So let's say those 5 guys, and let's say they average 10 million, that's 50 million between them, And players like Japhet Tanganga, 100% against the FFP, which is always quite nice. A little bonus. Alfie Devine, by the way, just want to let you know, he's moved to Plymouth on loan. So he joins Ashley Phillips on loan down on the West Country. And it makes it easier for me to do my loan roundups, to be honest, because I can just look at the Plymouth situation, get some stats from those two. It makes my life an absolute breeze. By the way, if you don't know, I do a loan roundup once a week. All the guys out on loan. I talk about some good stuff, some bad stuff. And just really keep everyone up to date how they're doing. Because I think some people sometimes forget about some guys out on loan. So yeah, definitely, hopefully, even today I might be doing it. So there you go. But let's talk Højbjerg. So we've got a couple of little bits around Pierre Højbjerg. First from Sky Sports News, and it said, the title was, Højbjerg's Spurs future may not get decided until end of January. Now, the reason why I find this interesting is I talked about in the previous video that I did earlier around Conor Gallagher. If you haven't had a look, go back and have a little watch. There you go. Do it in a bit. Watch this first, though. I know, you get to see double bubble with me. And I said that, the Conor Gallagher situation is complex because you're going to have to move someone out for him to come in, right? So you're going to have to depend on Højbjerg, being sold or at least a loan with an obligation that you're guaranteed the money. And then obviously Gallagher moving this window, right? So the article from Lyle Thomas again said that he's set to go down to the final days of the transfer window. Spurs are relaxed about the situation in the market, having already snapped up 2 players, and they're in no rush to make changes in the midfield. It goes on that it's understood that Tottenham will assess their options in the final days of the window, and considering who has returned by then, where there is scope to let Højbjerg go and a replacement brought in. But Spurs are also not about to accept any cut price deals with Højbjerg, who still has 18 months left of his contract and is of interest to Juventus and Napoli in the Serie A, as well as clubs in the Premier League. Unless an obligation to buy is included, a loan is understood to be completely off the table, so any interested club must be ready to offer a permanent solution. So, yeah, I think, look, 1 in, 1 out. That's the situation, I think, in the midfield. Don't hate it. It makes a ton of sense. And I think you can get by with Højbjerg to the end of the season as a dependable guy. Doesn't really miss time with injury. If Bissouma misses time with suspension. Obviously, Bentancur's been injured. Maddison's been injured. Lo Celso is injured right as we speak. Skip's missed time with injury and illness. He's been at least there. He's been an option in the midfield. And he's probably going to be playing against Man City a week on Friday. Because obviously you're going to have probably an attacking option back into the midfield again. So it's a little something. So yeah, it is what it is. But yeah, from the Telegraph though, it said that Napoli are among the clubs interested in Tottenham midfielder Pierre-Emile Højbjerg should he be made for transfer before the end of the January transfer window. The Napoli manager Walter Mazzari has been looking to strengthen the defensive midfield area and have been looking at Højbjerg as well as Lukic at Fulham. Fulham themselves have had an interest in Højbjerg during the summer when João Palhinha was close to joining Bayern Munich. They'd be expecting him for the race if they move for a defensive midfielder. And he did talk about how Ajax were interested, but I think Ajax are getting Jordan Henderson actually. Look, Højbjerg has a market, it's for sure. And I've always said Højbjerg is a good player in the system that suits him. This system doesn't suit him entirely, and that's why I think there's a shelf life. There's a cap in terms of how far he'd be able to go. And I think in the summer it's just time for that cash in. I don't see it happening in January. I could be wrong, unless there's a breakthrough made. Let's say it's Conor Gallagher. There's a breakthrough made that Chelsea go, look, we're keen to sell. Let's sort a deal out. Then Spurs go, right, okay, Højbjerg, we need to get him sorted now. And I think you would, if it's a loan with an obligation, you're going to get 20 million, I think, out of him. And that will pay for a big old chunk of Conor Gallagher. And when you look at it, you spent 20 odd million on Dragujin. What a name. I love that still. Obviously, you haven't spent anything on Timo Werner, but if you did, it's 15 million, which gets paid in the summer. So it's not really bank breaking for Spurs. You've obviously moved off a lot of wages from players, and you could add Perisic potentially to that list as well soon enough. It's all feasible. It is all feasible. And like I said, when it comes to financial fair play, teams are so alert to the hard cap now that they don't want to risk it. And with Chelsea spending as much money as they have, the contract length as long as they have, they're probably looking at it going, look, we haven't hit FFP, but we're probably on the radar. We need to get a few transfers out, especially if we want to sign a striker. They're talking about letting Armando Broja go as long as they get a permanent deal. Conor Gallagher, Ian Maatsen, and they're looking to kind of cash in to then basically have that pay for the striker completely on its own. Will they do it? I don't know. But anyway, guys, at the end of the video, hope you enjoyed it. Drop a like on the video if you did. Hit me in the comment section below your thoughts and feelings. Look, you've got Antonio Nusa. That news being that we're still sniffing around. You've got the regular on loan. You've got the Devine, Alfie Devine loan to Plymouth Argyle, as well as the Højbjerg news. Want to know thoughts and feelings about it all. There's a lot to talk about. Subscribe if you're new and hit the button notification for more. But anyway, guys, at the end of the video, I'll see you all very, very soon. Take care, guys.